Hi there, this is Luise Heinzl. Welcome to this video. Nice to see you here today. Today I want to show you how you can craft your very own Heinzl TV from some really simple materials you already might have at home. And the fun part, once this TV is ready, it will actually play your Heinzl TV episodes. All you have to do is take your ticket and scan the QR code and then click the link. And your video starts playing in your very own Heinzl TV. Cool, right? So grab some scissors, some cardboard, some glue, and some other bits and pieces you might already have in your craft room. And let's build a TV that is as creative as the videos it will play. That sounds great. Luise, yeah. I have a little question. Yeah. What if they are new to the channel, and what if they've never heard about Heinzl TV? Oh, that is a really good question. If you're new here and you've never heard about Heinzl TV, then please check out the video linked below this video where I explain everything in detail. That's great. Heinzl TV is a new addition to my YouTube channel, and you can go on creative adventures together with me right here in my studio. And the Heinzl TV videos you can get by buying tickets on my website. Those videos are like craft along workshops, like really detailed masterclasses where I share techniques, tips and tricks, and also some of my biggest secrets about my way of junk journaling. Ooh. On my website, you can find the Heinzl TV TERMINI, which is the main station for getting your tickets, additional information, and everything you might want to know. I will add new tickets to the Heinzl TV TERMINI each month, so it's definitely worth to go back to that page and see what's new there and what you might want to get. The direct link to the Heinzl TV TERMINI is down below in the description box of this video. So if you want to check that out in detail, then please feel free to visit that page. And I'm really hoping that you will like the adventures we are going to do together with the Heinzl crew. Luise, I think we've talked enough. Let's dive into today's project, okay? Yeah, okay. So let's go. Okay. Are you ready for this? I'm really hoping that you are ready for this, because then at least one of us is ready for this. Because I'm not so sure if I am really ready for this. I'm a little bit scared because this note paper here, it has driven me up the wall. You can't believe it. But I think I found a way how we can do this together in a way which is easy and doable for everyone. That was very important to me, that I find materials and things we can use for something like this, which everyone has or which you can easily get. So let's go into this. But before we do that, a quick little note in the beginning. Why did I say that so ironically a second ago? Because I have not made a prototype for this. I have never done something like this before. And this might seem a little bit unprofessional, unprepared, or something like that. But even if I have spent a ton of thoughts into this video and into this project, I wanted this to be as realistic as possible. I want to show you my reality with the materials here, and that is then probably your reality as well. Meaning you have something, you have an idea in your head, and you want to try out if that can work. What does that mean? Trial, error, learning, and in the end you have something cool. And that is what I want to show you with this video and with how I make the video. Instead of having everything prepared and having everything already done and then showing you a second reproduced version of that. Yeah, I don't like that so much, because I think this is the reality and I want that you sit together at this desk with me. And this is then the way I want to do that. Does that make sense? So let's try this. What do we need for this project? First of all, if you don't have the things I have here, I'm sure you can find alternatives in your craft room. I will show you what I use and I will talk about what I use. But if you don't have that, don't run away. Please try to find alternatives, okay? So the first thing we need is our phone, obviously. And you want to decide now if you want to build your Heinzl TV for your phone with a case around it or without a case around it. As you can see, I have my phone here without the case because I like it, you know, when it's naked. Do you know what I mean? But if you want to do this, you know, please decide now if you want to have the case around your phone or not, okay? So then what we then need are some pieces of cardboard / another similar material. I have here 3mm cardboard, which is pretty thick and pretty sturdy. Why? Because I thought if you are already into junk journaling, then you might have something like this already in your craft room. So I thought this is an easily accessible material. Either you already have it or you can easily get it somewhere. If you don't have access to something like this, or you can't find something like this, which is this thick, or if you think, oh, I have problems to cut something like this because I have problems like health problems with my hands or so, if you're not able to use such a knife because of some problems, or, you know, perhaps you are afraid of such a knife, then please take a material which you can cut with your scissors. Then you could search for these little guys. These are called etc. trims. I only have this photo here on my phone because I lost the original packaging, but I can show you another product from the same stuff, from this etc. stuff. It's like this. You can see these are these little tiles, but it comes in such a package and then it just looks like this. And you have different sizes, like, you know, the width of these and also the length of these in such a package. And then you can just take them out from here and you can use them. Why do I use these? Because I have them. Yeah, that is the only reason why I use these. If I wouldn't have something like this, I would just take this material and cut that into strips. You could also search for some little wooden sticks or whatever you might have in your craft room. You will see in a second what we do with these. And then you might run away and you will easily find something like this. Yeah, you could even take this little thing from an ice cream or so. That would also work. It doesn't need to have these things here. It would also work if it's just straight here. Yeah, but you will see in a second what I will do with these, and then you can easily find something similar. And then we would need some pieces which can represent the buttons of the TV. And the plan is to take this and put the buttons somewhere here. So what I did to choose these was the following thing. I have taken this thing, and I'm not so sure if I want to do it like this later. Ooh, that could also look cool. First I had it like this, but I'm not so sure. But the dimension of these is important, yeah? Because we are going to take the phone later, and that will go here, and that is exactly how I tried to find these. I have put the phone onto this piece here, and then I've just put my buttons here to decide if that is proportionally good or how I like it, what I could use. These are just some wooden beads. That would also look cool, doesn't it? I mean, this here says my initials, but they are making this so busy. I'm not so sure, but both would work. Yeah, so if you have something here now where you think, okay, I'm not totally sure if I want to use, for example, these or this thing, both would work, and we can still decide that later. But the reason for doing this now is that we can find the size of this piece. And how did I do that? Just by placing the phone, looking, here is a little bit of space, here is a little bit of space, so that this here proportionally makes sense for the screen of my TV, because my phone will later on obviously be the screen of the TV. So you can decide how wide you want to have the frame here and here, and how wide you need the frame here for putting the buttons you have chosen. Okay, this is just a little yarn spool, and these are two really old how is that game called, bingo pieces I found on a flea market in Rome. These have a really high, like emotional meaning to me, but that's why I have chosen these. So the first thing I want to do is I want to bring this into a really nice shape, but in the most easiest way you could ever imagine. I'm going to take my glue bottle and I place that here so that the bottle touches the edges of the cardboard. You could use a washi tape roll for this, or whatever you have, a little cup, espresso cup or whatever. And then just do it like this to get a nice little round corner here. You don't necessarily need the same shape like I have here, obviously. You can also, if you want, just leave that as it is. Yeah, you could even say, oh, I don't like round corners on my TV. I leave it in this 90-degree angle. Absolutely no problem. Please just do that if you want that. You could bring this into the wildest shape you could ever imagine. If you want to have it completely wonky or so, do that, okay? And if you did that, write me an email and show me your TV, please. So then, when we have that, we are going to take either a knife or our scissors, and we are going to cut this off along this little mark we just made. Next, we are going to take our phone, and now this next step, and what I'm saying now, is very, 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 very important, okay? Please listen carefully. If you don't listen carefully, and if you do this wrong, then the whole thing will not work. But don't be scared, it's easy. This is the front of my phone, yeah? I'm going to take this and I turn it around so that it is upside down and the camera is facing me and the camera is on the top. Not like this, because then it's on the bottom. Not like this, but upside down and the camera is on the top. Now, when we have that, we are going to take this, we are going to take a ruler and we are going to figure out the center so that the phone is laying centered on here, okay? Look that it's the same here and there. Okay, and when I have that, I take a pen and make a little mark so that, you know, I know the position in a second again, because the the screen of the phone is pretty slippery and can you see it moves pretty easily. But with these little marks I can make sure that it's still in the correct position when I now measure this, so that it's then here that this is parallel to this. I make sure that this is still in the position I had it a second ago, and now we are doing the following thing. Here on the right side of my phone, there is nothing which could be a problem, meaning the phone is completely closed here. Here on the, it was like so, yeah, so that is this side. Here on the bottom, there's also nothing which could become a problem. But here on this side, we have this little slot for the charging cable. I want to have this in mind. And here on the top, I have these little buttons where I can make it louder or, where I can, what is the word? The volume buttons, yeah? Please look to your phone where these little guys are. And have the following thing in mind when you do this now. We put this back here. So I'm going to press my phone down so that it can't move. And then I see that here the first button is visible. Okay, so I make a line which ends a few millimeters before that button comes, like so. Here on this side, there's the portion where the charging cable goes into the slot. So that means I leave a little, I'll show you that in a second when I lift the phone, sorry. I lift a little space there, I leave a little space there for the charging cable. Here we can just do it like so because there's nothing on the phone, I mean, and here we can do it like this. And this is probably now not very precisely, but we will fix that problem in a second. So that means this shape represents this now, and it has an opening here which can leave these buttons here free later, and it has an opening here which leaves this free, okay? But it's just a little guide so that I know here's the charging cable and here are these buttons. And I can see now that this is a little bit wonky because the phone has moved, but that is absolutely no problem. I will just quickly make sure that this is parallel to the rest, but you can just measure now and quickly do it like this, So when we have this little guide, we take the phone again and we place it here. And now I want to make something where I later on can put my finger in to have access to these buttons where I can have the volume up or down, yeah? So I put my finger here, and now you can see here and here, that's the space where these buttons are, yeah? So I put my finger here, and I look how fat my finger is, and I make a little thing here, which shows how thick my finger is, so that I have enough space to put my finger in here to have access to these buttons, yeah? And then when I have that, just do it like this. And make a little slot here, just like this, where I later on have access to all the buttons. This one which turns off the screen and the volume buttons as well. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So then we can already either take these or cut ourselves pieces from cardboard. Yeah, as I said in the beginning, you don't necessarily need these. You can also take something else which you can find in your craft room. You could take wood or whatever you might have. You want these to be a little higher than the phone is. Can you see that? It's just a little higher than the phone. And that is what you want to have. Then we take this. Or you take your cardboard strip. Is this, did I measure this? Oh, I didn't. This is a little bit too short. Is that important? Nope. We will just glue it here. So that it's here like so. I like to take a dry paintbrush now and go along here. Just like this. That makes my life easier later. And I don't risk to get glue on my phone. The next thing I want to do now is I want to let this dry 100% completely. Yeah, because in the next step we will use this here as our orientation to make this fit 100% perfectly. And for that, I don't want this to move. So I will take a break now. I will drink this, my junk journal medicine, and then we will go on. So it's a few minutes later, and this is on here now. I just realized I forgot to say which glue this is. This is just bookbinder's glue, but please use your favorite glue for gluing something like this to this. Yeah, if you don't have bookbinder's glue, use what you normally would use to glue something like this to this, or cardboard to cardboard. And then I thought, when we put this here now, to find the position for this thing here now, it would be helpful to have something which we could replace with the phone, so that we don't accidentally glue the thing to the phone. We don't want to get glue to the phone, okay? So I take my phone, put that away. I take an acrylic block. You could also take something similar, you know, which has a 90-degree angle here, just to put this against this thing here, so that we now can glue the next thing against here, and that we get a 90-degree angle here. I place this here now to my line so that I can exactly see how long this thing needs to be, because this thing will now be as long as this line is, so that we have this opening here in a second. We take a pen, this here, and without the need of a ruler, we can just make a little mark there. And then we take the rest of this, do the same thing here, put this against this line and measure here, cut this off. Search for this thing, because it's then somewhere else in the room. So then we put this here to the line, then we take this. And yes, I have a little gap here. That's because this thing was too not long enough, but I don't care about that. We will not see that later. I think I will not spend the time to fill this little thing here up, because it's just not necessary. So we place that there, because we won't see this thing later. I mean, if you look very, very, very close, yes, then you will see it. If this bothers you, then please just put, I'm just thinking, shall I put this little, oh, wait. Now, since I said it, it bothers me already. But then this was completely stupid, because there's also this little gap. Let's do it. We will do it. We will just fill it up. Then we can take this out. So when this is dry, I take my phone back for a second, put this in here just to make 100% sure that our line we made here is still in the correct position. Yeah, so I see here when I look at this that the line is a little bit next to the phone, but I can still see the line. So that means if I glue my piece there now, everything will work. So I put my acrylic block here and I put it now into the position the phone had a second ago. Press the acrylic block down. Press this against the acrylic block. And now I take the phone, and before this is 100% dry, I try out if the phone fits in here. So it should slide in very easily, but we don't want to have a centimeter space here or so, yeah? But that shouldn't happen if we did everything right. Oh, then we can leave it in here. And now I need to turn it around. I'm sorry, hopefully you are not getting confused when I turn it around, but I need to turn it around to see what's going on here. And I can see here everything is just perfect, so that I now can glue this piece and this piece. Put my glue on here very carefully. If you are scared, please take the phone out. Then what we want to do is we want to take the phone and make sure that we can put it in here easily, like so. That works. Okay, so then we take the phone out and we wait until everything is dry here. Now we are going to take our knife, and now I want to cut along here, 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 and around our little slot here for the finger, and along here, so that we have a hole in this piece. For that, I'm taking my knife, I go along here, and I don't press much. Please take your time for this step. I want to make sure that my knife is straight and not in an angle like this or like this. Make sure that the blade is far enough out. You can even make it like so that it's even, you know, longer, so that you can slide along here very close to the thing here, yeah, very close to the fence or this frame, or how do you want to call that? I find it looks like a fence. And with this method, and with a little bit of patience, I cut this out. So here we go. And here you can now already see the reason why we did the thing with the phone like so, because this thing later on will be the front of the TV like this, and then our phone will go in here like this. And now you want to take this, put that to the table and press it down a little bit and see if you can, if you can get your phone out here easily. If that is possible, and you can put in your finger here and you can take it out, everything is totally fine. If you can't get it out because this slot is too small, then please now go ahead and make this slot just a little bigger, yeah, so that you can put your finger in there easily and that you can take it out easily like this. And perhaps you also want to try if you can access the buttons here really well. You can, for example, just for test reasons, turn on a video here like this and just look if you can make it louder, because I think it will work, and that's why I say I want to prove it, because I think, okay, see, that works for me. I'm just thinking if I shall make it a little bit bigger. No, I think it's okay. And I have absolutely no idea. I think that's okay. Okay, so then we take this out. Some of you. And then we turn this to the other side again. and then we take more of our cardboard material or whatever we have used for here, or something else. Yeah, what we use now can be everything because it will be not visible in the end. But what you want is something which is really sturdy. I can't recommend to use corrugated cardboard to put that in between here, because then later on your TV will be squishy. If you want to have a squishy TV which is not very durable, use corrugated cardboard. I'm kidding, yeah? Don't do that. Just don't do it, okay? Just use something which is sturdy, like for example wood or another material, yeah, whatever you can think of, or do it like I do it now and use these pieces. I have thought about this step for ages, and I thought about the advantages and disadvantages of this. And there are a lot, please believe me. I take this, put this here, search for my pen, and now I want to trace the shape. I will tell you in a second the advantage of this and why I do it like this, because at first glance it looks like I am a total idiot. Because this seems to be a lot of work, and it is, but it makes this thing sturdy and durable. Because what I'm doing now is I want to build up layers of this thing, which I want to put over here then. And for that, I'm going to trace this. I shift this a little bit to the left. I mark here where this slot is, yeah, so that I can have that here. I make this longer. And now we remember we have put this on here, and now my opening here is exactly the same measurements like this, but it needs to be a little bit bigger, meaning we need to cut bigger, and this here gives us the information how much bigger. I will show you what I mean. So what I'm going to do is I take another one of these, but a little longer, put that here. I mean long enough so that it's, you know, that it's long enough to make my life easier. I put this here, trace along here, so that I know how thick this is on this piece. Take this, put this here. Yeah, we can make our life easier. We ignore this and we place this thing on this edge here, okay? Just like so. Let me quickly think about if this is working, then yeah, that should work. Okay, so we trace this here. And here. And now, when we have that, we are going to cut out from this piece all of this. So this whole rectangle, including this slot here. And we make the corners round, of course. This doesn't need to be perfect because we won't see it in the end. So I will not freak my freak if this is not parallel to the frame or whatever, we will not see it. You could take strips of cardboard, because this might seem a little bit weird, because we will need multiple of these layers now to build that up. That will make sense in a second, okay? You could think that is absolutely stupid. You could also take strips of cardboard and puzzle that around this thing. Yes, you could, but I do it like this because I then get this at the same time and these round corners for all of my layers, and in the end that will then look really nice from the outside, even if it's perhaps a little bit more effort now to do this, but I thought we want that it looks nice, and that's why I do it like this. If these corners here are not so nice, don't care about that. You will not see that later. And this thing should now fit on here like so. And you want to make sure that it lines up all around this thing here. Yeah, please make sure that it's really, really nice here, because that is what we will see later. Yeah, this year we will see that later. And because of that, I want to make sure that this thing has exactly the right size of hole here, and that nothing can hinder me to position this correctly on here. This is perfect. Now I'm going to take even more of these pieces and I will look how many I will need to come to the level of the frame here. So this is the first layer, this is the second layer, this is the third layer, and with four layers, I think I can get exactly to this level. That is coincidence. Yeah, really, please believe me. I haven't measured anything before I started this. This is coincidence. If you have a little space left here, take a thinner material instead of this cardboard and make another layer. Yeah, if you have something where you think, oh, perhaps that doesn't work so well, take different thicknesses of materials until you come to this level. Again, we won't see this in the end. You can use whatever you want for the inside here. It really doesn't matter. So then we are going to take these and we do exactly the same thing like we did with this one. Now we use this as a template because we know that this will work. We place this here. Trace the corners here. Trace this inside thing. And then I cut that out from all of these layers. Okay, so here we go. And all of these should now fit around here. Without any problems. I make sure that they all line up really nicely here on the outside, so that this whole thing then suddenly is that thick. And here I don't want to save glue, okay? I don't want to overload it with glue. I don't want that it comes out on the edges, but I also don't want to do something like this. Yeah, not just a thin line, but I want to spread this so that it's really on there. Not a ton, but enough to make sure that these layers are glued together really well. What I also want to do is I want to spread this to have an easier job to glue that down. So then I take this, put this on here, and I want to make sure again that this is lined up really well. So when I have that, I take the other layers and I do exactly the same thing. Put the glue on here, spread the glue with my finger, and then glue all of these layers on here. So when all of the layers are glued on here, it looks like this. And this makes me already pretty happy. But with cutting this here, we also automatically, but we could see that coming, we got this slot here. And I would say the easiest solution would be to take a little piece of cardboard, put that in here to make a little wall there, and then fill this thing up with hot glue. Yes, I said hot glue. And now I want to make sure that it's really in the corner there and that this whole slot is filled up. Okay, so it's a few minutes later and this is completely dry, and I'm so happy that I did that because this is now made for, you know, forever. So we can now take this and another one of these, because obviously we need the backside of the TV as well. So for that, we are going to line this up again. Trace the corners again so that we can make those round as well. Ooh, can't see what I'm doing. And now we also need a hole in the back, and for that I'm just going to go along here and along here, so that I already then have this corner here of the phone, and then I'm just going to measure a rectangle. So it's 6 centimeters by let's do 4.5 to be on the safe side. So now I can take my ruler, put it into this corner here, and what did I say? 4.5. Make a rectangle here, which is absolutely wonky, but I think that doesn't matter. It's only on the back. And then we can take our knife, remove all of this stuff, and just cut this out. Like this. Let's check if everything is correct here, and we can check that by putting this thing here behind the other piece, lining this up, and then we just turn on the camera. Ooh. Hello. And then we obviously do it like this. I put the phone in here and then I hold this like so, you know, lined up with the rest. And then you can see there is no cardboard in front of the camera. So that means we did everything correctly so that we have the full thing here on our camera with this hole in the back. And if we look from here, we can also see all of these lenses are free. So, you know, then that means we did everything correctly. And now we can obviously decide about the thickness, I mean the whole thickness of this TV. If you think, when I see it like this, and imagine this is glued on here in a second, when you think this is already thick enough for my taste, leave it exactly like it is. But if you think this is not thick enough for me yet, and I want that this is deeper and looks more like a real TV, add more of these layers. And that is exactly what I want to decide now. Because I am thinking, since I want to use this for the next couple of years, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that I will use it for the next couple of years, because that would mean that you are interested in the upcoming videos. I think we don't need this. We don't necessarily need this TV to watch the upcoming videos, yeah? But this is something where my heart is connected with this thing. And because of that, I want that this looks really, really cool. So I think this is good. So that means I have then a total of 4 layers for the backing. And I will do exactly the same thing like with the others. I will trace the corners. I will trace this thing, and then I will cut everything out. Okay, so here we go. What you then, please, want to do is the following thing. Before you glue all of these to the back of your TV, please do the following thing. Take all of these, take this thing, and just hold this like so without any glue, okay? And then take your phone again, turn on the camera, and put that in here, just to test if still the whole screen here is visible. Because if you would decide to put even more layers to this thing, I don't know if I can show you that now, what I mean. Let's say you wanted this like 10 centimeters deep, this whole thing. Then there would come the point, can you see that, where the camera would see the cardboard. And that could cause problems. Look, if I have it like so, and it would be this deep, then this tunnel there would be too much for the camera to handle. And you don't want something like this, because I think when you can see the cardboard, or the camera can see the cardboard, the thing with the QR code can't work anymore. So I want to make sure that I really, really, really only see this, and that there's no cardboard shown on the screen, okay? So then, oh my goodness, I just made a photo of my finger, I guess. But that's not a problem. So then, take these, and we glue these together, and we don't care about these little guys. I will in a second take some sandpaper and make that nicer. I mean, you could take your scissors, but with sandpaper it's faster than with your scissors. So I put my glue on here, spread this with my finger, then I take the next layer, put this on here, line everything up. Okay, so when we have that, let's just take a piece of sandpaper and just get rid of these little imperfections there in this little frame. Okay. Then we are going to take this, and then I think we can glue this on here, can't we? Wait, before we do that, we take this and we make this little thing here also a little nicer. And I think I will also do it that it's a little bit curved here, so that it just looks a little better than just a straight thing. And then let's also do this thing with the sanding all around here. So I put my glue to the back of this piece here. Perfect. Okay, so when this is 100% dry, we can take our sandpaper again. And now I want to quickly go around here, especially here around the corners, because, you know, we are human beings and not a machine. And because of that, this is, you know, a little bit not so very regular. I will just make this a little smoother, and I will also go along all of these edges here and also here on the back, like just like I did it here, and also here on the inside of the frame, so that it just looks a little bit more smooth and yeah, a little bit more round somehow. And obviously you can do this as extremely as you want now. You could even, I think I will even do it here a little more extremely, so that it really is, you know, like a real curve here and not like a curved rectangle, if that makes sense. Then we need to think about something to avoid an accident, because now when we have this can stand by itself if you want. I will later on put some feet on here. I will show you that in this video as well. You could also put it into an angle like so. You could even do it without the feet and just lean it against a shelf or so. Yeah, so on your craft desk or so, perhaps you have a glue bottle or whatever, lean it against that, and then you could have it like so, and with the phone nothing would happen if it would be in an angle like this. Yeah, but if you put it to your table like so, the TV stands by itself, but the phone wants to fall out. And obviously we don't want that. So we need something to hinder the phone from falling out. And I thought we could do a very, very easy trick. If I can find my accessory for the trick now. I will show you. I thought we could just take a little label, or what you also could take is just a piece of additional cardboard, or an additional piece of cardboard or whatever, just a little thing which is here. And then when you have this and it's like so, and it's on there, the phone can't fall out. Yeah, can you see? I mean, you would need to shake it like an idiot, as I tend to say, but here nothing can't happen here. The label is metal, and I don't want that my phone can bang against the metal here. It is not, you know, it is not extremely, yeah, but it is metal. And if the phone touches the paper, nothing can happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this, but not like I normally would do it if I would put the label in, the paper in the label, but in a different way. Look, I cut this to the size the metal has. So if I look from the back, you can see this is now the size of the metal, ignoring these round things. And then I'm going to take this thing, and here is the top. So that means, I mean, here's the opening then, of course. Now I put the glue only to this frame, so that I'm able to glue this black thing to the back of this thing. This is also black. I want to glue, I'm so sorry. I want to glue this black paper to the back of this black label, so that this thing still has a function, not only to hold the phone in the TV, but I can also now use it as a little pocket. So that means I can still put another piece of paper in here, and I can write something on there or stamp something on there. I could exchange what's in here. Yeah, does that make sense? Then I take an awl, and if you don't have these screws, you could obviously also glue this down. And I think I will additionally just do that. I mean, why not? That is then even more secure. So let's put glue on here, just, you know, only on the top part, because the bottom part will be in the air. Just like so. And this would be enough. Yeah, if you use a strong glue, then this would just be enough. If you don't have screws, I mean. Don't make them too tight. As my father would say, after tight, there comes loose. It can't come out. Can you see? I do it really extremely, but I mean, who would do something like this? If your room would make this, then you would have other problems than that your phone could fall out from here. And the next cool thing about this whole thing is we can also, while watching Heinzl TV, take our charging cable and plug that in here. Just like this. And this cable, when it's in here, additionally hinders the phone to fall out, because this thing here, because it's in this little tunnel here, also makes that it is way more sturdy in here. Yeah, but that is just a small little addition, which is cool about this. So I will take this out, because we don't need this here. But what we need now is a little treat. I made this a second ago and it is already cold. Nice. So then, next we take this out. And we take something to seal the cardboard before we paint this. What am I talking about? I'm talking about, for example, gel medium. This is the Liquitex gel medium. This is called Matte Super Heavy Gel. It is not important that it's the super heavy gel. You could take a normal gel medium as well. When I bought this on Amazon, I accidentally bought the wrong item. So this is not what I wanted to have. I accidentally bought it. Yeah, you could take any gel medium, any Mod Podge, collage medium, whatever you have. But I would suggest to seal this before you paint it. No matter what you want to use to paint it, I mean, you could leave it in this look as well, yeah? Absolutely no problem with that. If you like this gray, please just leave it gray, okay? But if you want to paint it, and no matter what you want to use for painting it, the cardboard is a little bit like a sponge. Depending on what you've used, yeah, but this cardboard, especially here where we've sanded it, it's like a sponge. And I don't want to waste my mediums. So that means when I have this layer of the collage medium, the gel medium on here, it gives it a sealing, a sealed layer, or how can I say that? And with that, when this is dry, all of my mediums I want to throw on here will stay here exactly like they are. They will not soak into the material. And that also means I will need less paint, spray, whatever I want to use here in a second. So I will take my time and put a good amount of this on here, and then I will let it dry, and I will do that all around. Yeah, I will put that here in all of these little slots and everywhere, and then I will let it dry. Okay, so this is completely dry now, and now the most difficult question is which colors shall we use to paint this? I think we will go with some ground espresso for the inside here, even if this is not visible later when the phone is in here. I want that this is a little darker than the rest. And I think, shall we do that here as well? Or perhaps then the contrast is a little bit too much. I don't know. Let's first start with this and then, decide that step by step. If you don't have distress paint, you could also use another acrylic paint. So this is an acrylic paint. If you don't know that, if you're new to this, then you might not know that. But it's an acrylic paint with special features. And that is that it reacts similar to distress ink while it's wet, and it's permanent when it's dry. So that means we can take this, paint all of this. I will do the rest here in a second because I want to add water here, because while this is still wet, but you need to make sure that it's still wet, yeah, otherwise this wouldn't work. We can spritz water on here. Come on, what is this? Doesn't want to come out because this is nearly empty. And I like to do this in layers, just like this. And then I like to take my heat tool, dry this, but not completely. It would be a really good idea if I would plug in this heat tool. And when I dry this now, I can see that the paint in the background is dry. Can you see that? And only these puddles here, the water is just still wet. Then I like to lift this up. Looks really weird at the moment, I know, but please wait, okay. When we dry this layer is permanent. And we can then add a second layer, and now I will be more clever and paint these little things here first, because there I don't want to have this effect I want to have here. I just want this to be brown, and because this takes a little while until I have finished this, I will do this first so that, you know, I can do the rest here without risking that it dries too fast. And you could do this with other colors obviously as well. I would recommend to use acrylic paint for this step, because we have added the gel medium and that is slippery. For example, distress ink or spray stain, oxide spray or so, would not dry on this. Okay, so when we have that, I want to take, where is it? I want to take my ground espresso again, paint over this again, because I don't want to have these dots there so extremely light. I want to reduce the contrast a little bit by adding just a second layer. We take our heat tool, just give it the tiniest little bit of heat. I don't want to dry it completely, otherwise it would be permanent. Spritz water. Again, dry the background layer, but not the water drops. And that makes that the first layer is now in this cool dark brown shade. When we now lift this up, we get something like this, and this is just amazing. You can also go over it like so. That's way faster. For this here, I want to go with a lighter brown. I have gathered twigs, brushed corduroy, and frayed burlap. And I was thinking my first choice would be gathered twigs, so let's try that. Oh yeah, look. Oh. This is the coolest color ever. Oh. Okay, I will let this dry for a second. I mean, that can air dry. I'm talking about the background. I do the same technique like here, okay? But I will not use my heat tool, because why? I can Just let it air dry, and then while that dries I can go on with this here. I will also bring this paint a little bit to the label so that it looks a little bit aged. I will go over this with my paper towel. The paint is dry, yes, but here, well, it is dry, yes, but not 1000%. Do you know what I mean? And when I go over this, I'm able to a little bit smear this around, and that gives me this cool used look. If your paint is already too dry to do this, take your sandpaper. It will do the same thing. Here, I mean, yeah, not here, but here. But the thing with the drops, you would, of course. 9. Oh no. Oh. Excuse me, please. That was a little bit too aggressive. But what I was trying to say is, I want to smear this a little bit so that it really looks like, yeah, old used wood or so. But we need to do something against this. Here I've done this a little bit too aggressively. We need to put a second layer over this, because here I think I removed the gel medium with rubbing over it too much. But let's just do it again. And I can still, of course, later on, if this area stays like a problem, I can let it dry completely and then go over it with another layer of gel medium. Yeah, that is always possible. But this was an accident, as you could see a second ago. But if you have such an accident as well, just let it dry and go over it with a layer of gel medium, and then it's sealed again and nothing can happen. But sometimes these accidents give the coolest effects. It's the same here. Can you see? That is just the perfect amount of something old. Here as well. Okay, so what about this? I think we are going to paint this with the Gather Twigs as well. I think it would look weird if I would make that darker. I don't know why, but I want it like this. It feels a little bit like a very thick piece of bread, but this is how it looks now. And I think this is already pretty cool. Now, of course, you could leave this like it is. I'm sorry, I just got a really weird message. I'm so sorry. I could see that on the other screen. That confused me. Where is my crayon? I had a crayon here. That is obviously optional. Yeah, you can do here whatever you want. You can paint this with whatever you want. You could glue stickers on this. You could do whatever you want. Yeah, collage it with paper or whatever. What I like to do is I like to take a distressed crayon. This is ground espresso. And one thing I want to do is I want to go around here. To make this a little bit crunchy. I find this really weird because in reality this is way extremer than in the camera. I think I will leave it even if it's not so extremely visible in the camera. So perhaps we can do a little bit of that here and there on the frame here, I mean on this short part. And then let's also do the same thing here. So then what about these? Shall we do it like this? I think I like it better when it's so regular. Maybe. Yeah, why not? Why not? But these are a little bit too light. Let's take frayed burlap. Just the tiniest little bit. Water to make it a little bit translucent. And I'm just realizing I could even put a little stick a little stick through here. For whatever reason that could be good, but you know, perhaps just for fun. I will just put a little bit of that around these. And then we should probably quickly measure the center of this. I leave this here. And first glue these, because I know this is centered. Then I can, you know, if I would lift this thing up now, then I would not know where to put it. When I have the glue on it, then I don't know anymore where to put it. But if I do it like this, I know these are in the correct position. Now I can take this and center this by eyeballing it. Could someone please explain to me why I forgot to paint this thing here around these things in a little lighter color, like I had planned to do. I'm going to try to do a little trick. Please do that before gluing the buttons, okay? I'm going to cut a strip of paper, and then I'm going to take this punch I'm going to cut this off here. This doesn't make any sense. Yes, you are completely right, but it will lead to the solution for this problem, okay? I will press this down here. Cut this off. This. And then I'm going to hold this down. Take my crayon again. Ooh. Oh no. I'm going to scribble over the edge. Take this off. Do the same thing here. Don't forget to feel freaking genius while doing this. Then take a small paintbrush, a lighter color, like for example frayed burlap. Dry it. Take the crayon again. Add a few more darker details. And very important, be proud of yourself and happy that you did this, because this makes such a huge difference. Oh my goodness. Then please take another small and dry paintbrush. Add a little bit of the crayon to your mat here or to another surface. Load the brush up. The brush, again, it's dry. And then let's add a little bit of sludge around these buttons here. And obviously you could use something like crackle paste, texture paste, whatever, yeah, on here, whatever you want, which would give it additional interest, additional texture, and so on. I first thought about using some crackle paste or crackle paint on here, but then I thought I will not do that because I want that everyone can do this, and I wanted to have this with really the simplest materials. Like I said in the beginning, approximately 15 hours ago or so. And not everyone has texture paste or crackle paste. And because of that, I will not do this here. But if I would watch this video and if I then would think, oh, I have crackle paste or grit paste crypt, I would definitely grunge this up even more with paste. This is already pretty cool and I'm absolutely happy with how this turned out so far. I found some feet which we can use here for this thing. These have been some really low quality stamps in their past life, so they were like this, and here's this thing which is absolutely terrible. I've removed that already from these so that I now can take these and just glue them on here. If you don't have something like this, perhaps you can find a little like a wooden stick like this is. I mean, what is this? It's just a little wooden piece. Or what I also thought is you could use something like this, which is from a sewing machine yarn thingy. You could cut this just, you know, with your scissors, or I would perhaps recommend to use such a knife to cut them. That would work. If this seems too light to you, and since this is not so easy to glue, you could fill this with hot glue and you would be done, and you would have something pretty similar to this. It's look at this, it's exactly the same size. Yeah, so that would work as well. You could perhaps also find there's a game which in German is called Mensch, ärger dich nicht. There are these little figures, you know, made from wood, and they have a little head. So they are, I don't know how these are called in English, but they are shaped like this, nearly like a keyhole. Oh, like this. Do you know what I mean? And if you use those, you could turn them around and put them under here. That could look really cute, because then they have this little round thing. If I had those, I would definitely use those, but I think this is cute as well. I want that this looks even cuter than it already does, and that's why I glue the second thing here on the right, here a little bit more to the center, and this here on the left also a little bit more to the center, because when I then look at it like from here, when it's on my desk, I can see all 4 of these feet instead of having them behind each other, and then, you know, that would then be not so cute. But you do you, okay? And when we now take this and put it to the table like so, it can dry like this, because the TV adds weight to the feet, and then it can just dry like it is. And we have to wait for that. Okay, so it's the next day, and I have decided for 2/3 little things I want to do here. First of all, I want... Ooh. What happened to this paintbrush? Oh no. I want to grunge these up a little bit by adding some of the crayon. This treatment I also want to do on these, because I find that these are a little bit too light. Now both of these also look more like real buttons somehow, because this surface here is round, and I have the feeling, I mean, you know, it has these curved edges here, but this thing is round, and that makes it more into a button, doesn't it? Where you think I can turn this around. And also here, this thing, this spool looks, yeah, it still looks like a spool, doesn't it? I mean, it is a spool. Oh yes, I think I like that better. I don't like the color of this here. I think I'm going to try to add some gilding wax on here. This is by Craft Emotions. This is called Wax Paste Metallic, and the color is metallic gold. Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. And let's add more gold, just here and there. You could do this with acrylic paint, of course, as well, if you don't have such a wax. Oh, look at that. I mean, what the heck? That makes such a big difference. Oh my goodness. The whole time I was thinking, I mean, did I say that it's already the next day for me? I think so. The whole time I was thinking, it's nice, but it's not my TV yet. It's not my project yet, for some weird reason. And now I think I'm coming to a point where I start, yeah, realizing that it's my TV and my project. And sometimes it's these tiny things which make exactly that difference, that you then suddenly think, okay, now I'm happy with it. And now I'm thinking, I will make these gold as well. What a difference. Oh my goodness. Okay. And then this TV needs an antenna. And I have searched for a really long time for something I could use for making the antenna. Not because I didn't have any options. I mean, why did I search so long for that? But I wanted to find something which everyone might have at home. And I found out that that is impossible. Because I don't know what you have. Yeah, I don't know with which materials you create your projects. So I thought I want to find something where I can say you will probably not have exactly that item, but you will have exactly that item. That doesn't make any sense at first glance, but I'm sure that you have exactly this item in your craft room, even if you don't have exactly this item in your craft room. What am I trying to say and demonstrate with a piece like this? I found this in my drawer with metal pieces. I got this in a Happy Mail and when I got it, I knew that I want to use this for a very special project. Because, I mean, look, this is absolutely cool. And when I was looking through my drawer, I suddenly had this in my hand. And then I thought, this is the perfect fit for this TV. It does somehow look like a really crazy antenna, even if it's not a traditional TV antenna. And then I thought, okay, the people don't have something like this, probably. I mean, If you have exactly this item in your room, then please leave a comment and let me know, okay? But that would be a really big coincidence if you had something like this. But you have something like this, because what is this? It's a special item I found. It's something which has a meaning to me because I got this as a gift, and it is something unique and something that works for this project. And I'm sure everyone has something that works as an antenna for this project. It is a different thing than this, but it's at the same time the same thing like this. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's hard for me to say that in English. I think it would be even harder to say it in German, but try to find something special which then makes the TV even more special as well. Does that make sense? Hopefully this is a sturdy material. I'm just realizing that this thing has some... we have to live with that, I guess. It has some noses here. I have some screws here, and I'm hoping that these are not too long. Before I put those in, I'm gonna make them gold. I think that's easier than if I would try that later. And now I'm really hoping that the cardboard will just take the screw. Oh yes. Oh, it goes in here like into butter. That is really good. And I was hoping that it will not go like this, yeah, that it will not get split there, but this is just perfect. First I thought I'd take a small drill and drill a hole before putting the screw in, like you would do it with wood as well. I mean, if I had a piece of wood which is this thick, then I would probably take a drill first before I put in the screw, but this, if you do that carefully, works. Okay. Done. This looks so crazy, and now I'm really happy. And here's to the most exciting part of this whole thing. Let's talk about how to watch a video on our Heinzl TV. For that, we are going to open the camera just like this. Then we are going to take our ticket, and you can see here on the top right, there's the QR code. You take this thingy, hold that behind the TV, and then you can see here's a little link, and when you click this link, ta-da! Your video starts playing on your very own Heinzl TV. I'm really hoping that you like this little idea and this little tutorial, and perhaps you want to craft your own Heinzl TV. But even if you don't want to do that, of course, you can also join the future adventures with the Heinzl crew without this little TV. Yeah, you can just watch that on your phone or your computer or your TV, or I mean the real TV you have in your home perhaps, just by clicking the link or scanning the QR code. You don't necessarily need this TV, yeah, but I told you in this video, my heart is really connected to this idea, and I thought it's a cute thing, and I thought I want to give it to you. So at least for those of you who also find that it's a good idea. So I'm really hoping that we will see the next time. Perhaps you want to join some future adventures, that's a word, adventures with the Heinzl crew. You can find all of the information about the videos, about the tickets, what you can get on my website. The link is down below in the description box. There you can find the Heinzl TV TERMINI, and that's the page where you can go and check out what's new, what's available, what you can get. Everything you can imagine is there. There's one question left now. how the heck do I come out here now? I mean, can someone please come and let me out? I want to go back to my craft room and prepare the next videos. Hello?